Hi, guys. Welcome back to Girl Therapy. I'm your host, Nicole. Thank you so much for coming back this week. I missed you guys. I hope everybody had a fabulous weekend and week, and everybody's having a great morning or afternoon whenever you're listening to this. I hope you are great and amazing. I actually recorded this episode yesterday, and the audio was all messed up. And at first, I was super annoyed, but then I was like, you know what? I felt like I could do that episode better, and this gives me an opportunity to actually ask you guys what you want to hear from me regarding this topic, because today we're going to be talking about my journey with sobriety. So I've been sober since I think it was like April 5th, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Wow, it's almost been 6 months. Actually, it has been 6 months. Oh my God. Time flies when you're sober. Right? Did I do the math? April? No, maybe it was May. Maybe it was May, June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, because I'm like, I feel like I'm coming up on 6 months. Well, I guess it's November now. Anyways, sorry. That's all in the details of it all. But yeah, so I have taken a little sober journey, which is so funny because, well, it's not funny, but out of me and my sister, she's the opposite of me. She's more of a homebody. She didn't really party a lot in high school or college. Like, she's just not like that. She's a lot more calm than me. And if you were to ask my mom, like, who of the kids do you think would end up being sober? My mom would be like, oh, Lindsay. But no, it's me. But I'm an extremist in everything I do. I'm starting to realize, like, I go big or I go home. And I didn't really have, okay, I don't want to say like that, like every time I drink, I like blacked out. No, but it's like, if I'm choosing to be sober, I'm going to be sober. If I'm choosing to, drink, like, I'm going to live a life where I drink, and I'm now choosing this pathway of sobriety because for pretty much the last, I want to say 4 or 5 years of my life, I've been really focused on my health and wellness, and not just physical wellness, but mental wellness too. And I think a lot of that goes into the fact that I've always struggled with my relationship with food and my body. And it really became important to me in the last couple years, healing that relationship and not constantly having to feel like I'm having to lose weight or go on a diet or work out harder, find more balance. Like, it was just fluctuating too much all over the place. But this episode's about drinking, so we're just going to get into that. I'm not going to go too much into that. But I do think it plays a role in this because alcohol definitely affects your mental health, and it definitely affected my confidence. It affected how I looked at myself, how I felt about myself, how I handled situations, my emotions, how I reacted, the things that I did, and I think alcohol was kind of the last thing to go for me. I live a really healthy lifestyle, and for me, it was just like the last piece that didn't make sense. So to answer one of the first questions, which was what somebody asked, was there a specific thing that happened that made you go sober? And to that, I say no. I didn't have a night where I went crazy and then woke up the next day and I was like, that's it, no alcohol ever. I've definitely had those hangovers before where I'm like, oh, I'm never drinking again. But then I obviously drink again. But there wasn't a specific event that happened that scared me straight or like was my rock bottom where I was like, I can't touch alcohol anymore. I don't have that relationship with alcohol where it really made me a different person. I don't have a bad relationship with alcohol in the sense where I'm addicted to it. So if you do, or if you feel like you do, or if you feel like you might need help on this journey, definitely join an AA group, definitely seek help, do whatever you have to do. This is just all coming from me, somebody who has a non-addictive personality, is not addicted to alcohol, just didn't like it in general because I started looking at it as like, is this benefiting my life? Is this making me a better person? Does this have health benefits? No. So why am I incorporating it in my lifestyle? And that was kind of just what it was for me. I didn't wake up one day either and say, I'm going to go sober. It kind of just happened. I think my last drink was like a singular cocktail. And it was kind of that moment that I was like, why am I even doing this? Like, it was just kind of like, I woke up the next day and I was like, okay, I had a cocktail and it just didn't excite me anymore. It didn't do anything for me anymore. I kind of was just like, why? And then I kind of just started to be like, what happens if I don't drink? What happens if I go out and I don't have a drink? And I just started saying no and playing with the idea of like not drinking. And then it just continued to happen. It just catapulted. It just kept going because I really liked how I felt. And I realized that it's so much more fun to be sober. And I started to see all the positive things that were coming in my life because of it. So then it just kind of kept going. I am an addict in a way where I'm addicted to feeling my best and being the best version of myself. And when I start feeling like I wake up every day and I don't have a hangover and I know what it feels like to be functioning at 100%, I won't accept anything less than that. And I don't want anything less than that. So even having just a drink or a glass of wine, I would wake up feeling groggy, and I hated that. I'm addicted to feeling my best. Anything that gets in the way of that, I don't want any part of. Another question that goes into why I chose sobriety or how this came about is somebody said, was it you or somebody else who made you realize being sober was the best choice? A lot of people are using the word sober curious, and I love that. I never heard that before you guys, but a lot of you guys have been like, I'm sober curious. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this. It wasn't a premeditated sobriety for me. Like I said, like I was never like, oh, I'm curious about being sober. I honestly didn't think that I could ever live a life in Miami and be sober. Or live a life without alcohol in general. Like I'm somebody who enjoys a glass of wine. I'm somebody who enjoyed having a nice drink at dinner. It was me who decided I wanted to be sober. Like outwardly, like it wasn't until a couple months in that I decided to be like, oh yeah, I'm sober. Because I wasn't sure. Like I wanted to allow myself that, because whenever I would say, oh, I'm going to be sober for a month, or I'm going to be sober for 2 months, I found myself either like craving a drink or feeling the pressure of not having, or like I can't have a drink. Like whenever you can't have something, you almost want it more. So I didn't put that barrier on. I didn't put that label on it. I was just kind of like, we're just going to see what happens. We're just going to go with the flow. I actually started realizing through this that there is a sober community in Miami, and a lot of girls who I surrounded myself with were sober. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I didn't realize they were sober because I see them out all the time. And I also just never really opened up the conversation, or wasn't looking for it because I wasn't. And then once I started opening my eyes to it, I started to realize there's actually a lot of people around me who are sober. That's actually something that aligns with me. That's actually something that I believe in too. And that's definitely, if you can do it, I can do it. So it was definitely me who was like, oh yeah, being sober is the best choice. I never consulted anybody else about my sobriety. I never asked somebody like, do you think I should be sober? Because it has to be my choice. It has to be the best choice for me. Looking at my life and the big picture and the things that I want and thinking long term, I didn't see any benefits to drinking. So I made the choice for me, and I knew it was the best choice because of how good I felt and how good I feel, and how kind of easy it was for me. It was really an easy choice for me to make. Somebody said, what's my reason for going sober? I feel like I kind of already answered that, but I think it was just looking at alcohol, like I said, and being like, what value is this adding to my life? And there wasn't any. I'm not a fan of hangovers. I'm not a fan of staying out late. I don't even like to go to clubs like that. It wasn't making me smarter. It wasn't making me make good decisions always. It was definitely making me more emotional. I remember several times where I would go out to, have fun, and then I'd come home and I would cry, or I would be emotional about something, or I would send a text that I wish I didn't send, or I would overthink things, or I would have anxiety about the night, or if I did something weird, or just anything. Like I feel like it would just bring on anxiety for no reason. This isn't making me feel good, so why am I doing it? I don't keep anything else in my life that doesn't make me feel good. People, things, activities, anything. If something's not making me better, I don't have it in my life, and alcohol was one of those things. Do I wish that I had started sobriety sooner? No. I mean, I can't go back in time, and I can't wish I had done things differently, because I had to do those things to end up where I am today, and to really just be like, oh, I'm good. Like, I don't need it. I've done the things. I've drank the drinks. I've had all the cocktails. I know exactly what they taste like. I know exactly what it feels like to be hungover. I think I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be. I don't think giving up alcohol a year ago was something that was in the cards for me. I was still wanting to live that life, and that's okay. Like, I was still wanting to go grab cocktails with my girlfriends, or maybe have that wild night out once in a blue moon. That's just the life that I was living then, and that's who I was, and I was staying true to myself. The only reason I wish I'd started it sooner would be because like how amazing I feel and how much clarity I have. If I had started it sooner, who knows if I would have stuck to it or really would have leaned into it or been able to share the same experience with you guys. So no, I don't wish I started it sooner. This is all part of my journey. I'm still 29. I'm still young. So yeah, I lived that life. I did that. It was a chapter, and I can definitely live knowing that I know exactly what a hangover feels like. I know exactly what cocktails taste like. I know all the things. So I don't feel the need to ever kind of go back to that place. How do you manage in social settings with friends that are drinking? First of all, if you are surrounded by people who make you feel weird about being sober, who peer pressure you, those are the wrong people. None of my friends make me feel weird about it. None of my friends question me. None of my friends push anything on me. And so when I'm in social settings, I will just go and, same, like I'm not, it's not anything different. I'm just going, I'm enjoying, I'm talking to people, I'm socializing. And if I want a drink in my hand, I'll just get either a mocktail. I've been loving having mocktails, or a water or seltzer water with lime or whatever. And when I first started going out, and let's say it was with a group of people who I wasn't really close with, like I remember I met these people for drinks, and this was kind of like earlier on in my journey. I wasn't like very close with them. I was meeting some new people, and I sat down and they're like, what can we order you? What can we get you? Do you want a drink? And I was like, oh, I'll just start with a water. And that's kind of just what I say is I'll just start with a water. I'll just have a water. I'll say I'm good for now. I don't say like, oh no, no, I don't drink, because you can do that, absolutely, if you want to put like a hard stop on it. But I became really exhausted with the conversation of why don't you drink and having to get into it with every single person. And I also just didn't want to make it like a big deal. I didn't want to like make it a thing where now everybody's questioning me why I don't drink, and they're all sitting there with their drinks, and like, I don't know, people will project onto you and stuff like that. So I just kind of would like play it very casual. And then if somebody asks, I would just be like, yeah, I don't drink. And people would be curious about it. People will obviously be like, oh, do you have a question? Do you have a problem with alcohol and this and that? And I was like, no, I kind of just gave it up, and I'm really enjoying being sober. And people will be curious. People will ask questions, and it's nice because the right people will support you, and they'll be like, wow, that's really cool. And then that's it. Then that's the conversation. And I think like now my friends know where I stand, and they know that I am sober. So when we go out, they already know that I'm not drinking. There's no having to explain. If we're at a bar, they'll just get me a water. If somebody asks, does she want a drink, and I'm not paying attention, or they put a drink down in front of me or whatever, they'll just be like, oh no, she's good. They'll kind of answer for me, which is really nice. It's just become my new normal. My friends respect my boundaries. They are very supportive, and it's actually rubbed off on a few people too, which has been nice. I don't have social anxiety. So if you're somebody who relied on alcohol as a crutch, it's going to be a little bit weird at first. It might be tough at first to navigate that. But when I tell you I've gained so much more confidence since not drinking, it's been exponential. It's been really eye-opening too, because you'll start to observe people around you who are drinking and kind of see how people are maybe acting differently, or, whether it's they're suddenly extremely outgoing or loud, or their personality has changed a little bit, or they're saying things they normally wouldn't say, or they're talking to people who they wouldn't really talk to, or they're, entertaining people who they don't typically talk to or like, or whatever it is. It's really interesting to see, and then see how you also now are forced to come out of your shell. You don't have alcohol as a crutch anymore, and you have to really have confidence. If you want to talk to somebody, you just talk to them. You don't rely on any little drink in your hand or anything like that. And I find that I have more meaningful and deeper connections and conversations with people because I'm fully present, and I don't talk to people who I wouldn't talk to. Like, I just don't entertain people who don't align with me. I don't talk to people who are just being drunk and annoying. Like when I'm in like a social setting too, and people are really drunk or just not my people, or I'm just not vibing, I just leave. That's the best part of it too, is I feel like when I was drunk, you could take a boring situation and make it fun by drinking, or you could take a situation where you don't really like the people and drink a little bit to make you feel like you like them. Like you could really get along with anybody when you're drunk, or you could have a conversation with anybody when you're drunk, or things seem more fun sometimes when you're drunk. And now, because I'm sober, I am very aware of who I want to talk to. I don't get stuck in conversations that I don't want to be in. I don't get stuck in situations that I don't want to be in. And I go in and if the vibes are good, I say I have a great time. And that's how I really know that I like the people and the vibe, is that if I'm there and I can just be having the best time with no alcohol in my system. And then I can also call it quits when I want to. And I actually enjoy the experience of going out so much more now, because I'm not with people or in places that I don't want to be. And then I also get to leave at a reasonable time. There's been so many times where I stay out for so long because I'm drunk or I'm drinking. And I'm like, wait, for what? Like nothing else happens past this time of night. There's no reason for me to be out. And now it's like, as soon as I feel like I've talked to the people that I want to talk to, I've had a really great night, I'm better at being like, let's call it now and go home and get some sleep and wake up tomorrow morning feeling refreshed and feeling great about all my decisions and everybody that I spoke to. That's kind of like how I manage going out. But I would say a big tip is definitely, if you're meeting somebody maybe for drinks and you're there before them, maybe like already order your cocktail or your seltzer water or whatever it is and have it with you already, so that when they come and the server comes over, they just order their thing and you already have yours, and then you don't even have to explain anything. If you are somebody who also is worried about what people are going to say, or you don't want to make it obvious or anything like that, you could just tell the bartender, hey, like, could you just make sure all my drinks are non-alcoholic? Or just tell them like, hey, I just want seltzer waters all night. Like, you can certainly do that if it's that serious of a situation. I never felt like it was that serious for me, because I have a really supportive friend group, and I don't feel that weird pressure where like, I don't care if people look at me weird or say something weird or are confused or want to question me. It's okay. But if you are a little bit nervous about that, that's something you could certainly talk to the bartender about, or your waiter or waitress about, and just be like, hey, like, I don't drink. Can you just send me mocktails or seltzer water or just water or something like that? Also, if you are going out with your friends and it is in a place where you know you guys are going to be drinking, you're going to be at dinner, something like that, send a text before and just be like, oh, just by the way, like, I'm not going to drink tonight, but really excited to see you. Like, I don't know, like, just so that you can kind of get that out of the way then over text. And then when they see you, they know that you're not going to be drinking, and then they're not weird about it in person. Like, I think it'd be really odd, but I'm sure it happens, where if you to meet somebody and you were going to get drinks, or you guys were doing dinner, and they'd be like, oh, well, why aren't you drinking? And it's just like, oh, I just don't want one. But like, you're more than welcome to have one. But I feel like some people might be like, well, I don't want to drink alone, and then make you feel bad, right? So I think before you're maybe meeting somebody for dinner who you know likes to have a drink or two with you, or that's usually the normal, just be like, hey, like, by the way, like, I'm not going to be drinking tonight, but like, whatever. Because I feel like some people are like that, where they'll project onto you and then they'll kind of guilt you into having a drink because they don't want to drink alone. But that's their decision. If they want to do that, they can drink, but maybe just tell them before. And then if they're like, well, then I don't want to get dinner with you, then they're not a real friend, which leads me to my next question. Did you end up losing friends when choosing sobriety? I love you and you inspire me. I love you too. No, I did not lose any friends. In fact, I gained friends. I gained amazing, also more sober friends. No, none of my friends, I never drank that much anyways. It's not like I have just party friends and then normal friends. Like, all my friends are just my friends. I never really was like the one who drank a lot anyways and was like, it's not like I've really changed my lifestyle that much where it was like, Nicole doesn't go out anymore, Nicole doesn't hang out with us anymore, Nicole doesn't do this with us anymore because she doesn't drink. And then suddenly I don't have friendships with those people anymore. No. So no, I didn't lose any friends, but I did have one of my friends who's been doing sober school nights, and sober school nights was something that I created for my friend Brandon, but also just for my friend group, because when I started going sober, they started to become curious as well. And it's not realistic for everybody to be sober and never want to drink again. Some people love drinking or love having a drink or two on the weekends, and there's nothing wrong with that. But during the school week, my friends were like, you know what? Like, actually, I love waking up feeling great on a Wednesday morning, and I really want to try just being sober Monday through Friday. So we created sober school nights for my friend group. And Brandon, one of my friends who kind of was the one who needed this the most, I would say, he definitely was somebody who would go out and he would have drinks, majority of the nights, almost 7 days a week. And he's very social. He has a lot of friends and they like to go out and get drinks, whether it's on Taco Tuesday or that he has an event on a Wednesday, like whatever it is. And he was like, I'm scared that I'm going to like lose some people, or I'm not going to see people as much, or I'm going to miss out on some things. Like, he has the most FOMO I've ever seen in a human being before. I feel like it's actually a disease for him. And I was like, listen, if you lose friends because of you're doing something that's good for you and bettering you, and he honestly has had such a transformation. Like, this has been a big change for him, and it's really positively impacted his life. And I was like, if your friends can't see that you're doing something really great for yourself and how much happier you are, how your mood's improved, how your work's improved, and all these things, then they were never your real friends in the first place. Anybody who's not happy for you doing something for yourself and making yourself better is preying on your downfall. So if you're losing people, or if you're not seeing people as much because you're not drinking with them, then they weren't your real friends. They were just your drinking buddies. To that I will say, drinking is also not a hobby. Drinking's not an activity. Drinking is not a way of bonding and spending time with somebody. Like, yes, that's what a lot of people do, is we go and get drinks together and whatever. But if you want to spend time with somebody, you can absolutely do it without a cocktail in your hand, and you can see them without having to have a cocktail in your hand or have it be surrounded by cocktails. You can go get dinner and not have a drink. They could just come over to your place and not have a drink. You guys could go on a walk or do an activity together, or do a different sport together, or a hobby together, a workout class or an art class, or go shopping. Like, there's so many different ways to spend time with one another that doesn't have to do with drinking. And if you can't come up with another way to spend time with somebody or enjoy somebody else's company, the only way you can enjoy their company is with a drink, then they're not really your friend. So it's been great for me for weeding out who really are my real friends, or how close are my relationships really, or how bad does somebody really want them in my life. If when I make this switch, like, are they still going to make an effort to see me, or were they only in it because getting drinks was a really low effort activity for the two of us to do or plan? And like I said, I haven't lost any friends. I've built stronger connections. I've gained friends because I actually have more time to hang out with people too. I am doing more activities, and I'm like, oh, I know this person would enjoy this, they should come with me there, and this person would enjoy this and they should come with me there, instead of just it all having to be the same thing all the time. Do I ever crave an alcoholic beverage? Honestly, I haven't. And I've been in a lot of situations. I've been to weddings, I've been to bachelorettes, I've been to birthday parties, I've been out, I've been to dinners, and I haven't craved one actually at all. I'm sure there will be a time though when I'm like, this would be really nice with a glass of wine. I'm sure like around Christmas time, I'm going to be home around a fire and everybody's going to be drinking, and I might be like, yeah, it might be nice to have a glass of wine. But I haven't craved one so far. And I think in those situations, if I ever do really crave like a cocktail, I could just have a mocktail. And it's not like I ever really crave alcohol. Alcohol doesn't taste that good. I would never crave alcohol. I think it would just be like the ritual of it, of like sitting down and having a cocktail, with your girlfriends or whatever. And in that situation, I would just have a mocktail. And that's fine. That's That's everything that I need. You have it. And then I feel like once you have that one mocktail, you're like, okay, I got that out of my system and I'm really happy that I didn't have a drink then. A lot of the times when you go into social settings too, I will say the hardest part is just getting through the first like half hour of it all. And then after that, you're kind of like, oh, this is kind of nice. Oh, I'm getting comfortable here in this situation. I've read the room. I've talked to a lot of people. I'm feeling confident. I actually don't need a drink. And I think a lot of people go into a social setting and immediately run to the bar and immediately need that drink before they can even get started, before they can even warm up, talk to anybody, get their engines revving. It's hard. The first 30 minutes can be hard. But then after you break that barrier and you kind of just like, don't break the seal, I guess, you start to realize, oh, I didn't actually need a drink. Because I found myself, sometimes I would go into a social setting, have a drink or two immediately, and then kind of be like, well, why did I do that? I didn't need to have those drinks. And now I'm like annoyed that I had those drinks. When you're going into a social setting, sorry, I'm getting into a different topic here, but a way to navigate that is to go in and just be like, I'm going to be sober for the first half hour and then gauge how I feel. And you go in and you just order your water, your seltzer, or nothing. And you take it in half hour increments. You're like, wow, I made it here. Do I feel like I need one? Like, check in on yourself. And if you're like, no, okay, cool. Let's keep rolling with it. And all you have to do is just say no a couple times or just ride it out as long as you can. And before then, you'll realize you're 2 hours into the night, you're having a great time and you never needed one. Like once you get to a certain point, there's like a certain point in the night you realize, oh, I don't even want to drink. I didn't need a drink. And then once you get through the first like hour or wherever you are in your social setting, you won't crave one anymore and you'll realize that you didn't need one and it won't become like a thing. It won't feel like a thing anymore. You'll forget that you're not even drinking. What are 1 to 3 positive effects that came from being sober? So, I mean, there's so many. I would say one of my favorite things is that I've really leaned into more hobbies and more activities and really explored my inner child more. And I had to get more creative with my time. And I'm like, well, if I'm not going out at night or if I'm not going to that event or if I am, choosing not to go to that pool party, what can I do instead? And I realized that there's so many more activities that I can do and so many more things that I enjoy that I didn't realize I enjoyed. I got back into cooking again. I got back into baking again. I'm starting to make sourdough. I'm actually starting my first sourdough today. I got back into horseback riding. I'd go out with my friends and we'd go bowling. We'd have paint nights. I'm starting to be more playful with activities instead of just doing things that were easy and simple, like, okay, we'll just go and have a drink. It's like, no, I had to get more creative and figure out how I want to spend my time. So I've been spending my time to doing more things that I actually enjoy and are benefiting me and are making me a better person. Another effect is that I feel like my mood and my general happiness is less of a roller coaster. And again, I didn't drink that much, but like I could definitely feel the effects on my mental health, and it would definitely mess with my serotonin levels and all that stuff, because I would go out and drink and then the next morning I'd be hungover and I'd be feeling really sad and depressed and tired and depleted. And it would take me like 2 or 3 days to start to feel normal again. I found myself like having like a lot of mental breakdowns when I was drinking, or just becoming sad about things or overthinking things and getting really into my feelings. And then the next day I'd be upset, and then I'd have not only a normal hangover, but an emotional hangover. And it really started to mess with my emotions and how I felt about myself and my confidence. And it definitely brought me back to places that I felt like I had already healed from. Like I just felt like alcohol was not serving my mental health in any way. I have more of a grip on my emotions. I have allowed myself to like truly heal and feel the things instead of feeling okay, drinking to feel better about something or drinking to get my mind off of something, but then coming home and having a full-blown spiral, not actually being able to heal or actually think through why I'm hurting, but then just cry and then the next day feel terrible about it, and then the cycle continues where I never really address these deep rooted problems that I was having. So sobriety has forced me to like face the things and heal from them and move on. I just like get myself more. I just understand myself more. I've worked through so many more things now, and I've healed from things, like truly have healed from things, not just I felt like alcohol was a distraction and it was, I was putting a band-aid over a lot of things and just, ignoring things by drinking and going out and all this stuff. And now I'm just kind of like, well, I don't have that as a band-aid anymore. So I'm able to realize things that I'm actually upset about too, and things that I'm not. I would feel like I would overreact sometimes when I drink alcohol, or I'd act in ways where I was like, I wouldn't care about that if I was sober. So it's really made me like realize the things that actually affect me, what I actually care about, and heal from things. And then also it's actually rubbed off on a lot of my friends, and I love that too. And I want to be the healthiest version of myself, but I also want my friends to be the healthiest versions of themselves. So the fact that I can be a role model to them and inspire them, and then also inspire you guys, is definitely a positive effect that I don't want to ignore, because I think it's beautiful that people are becoming more sober curious and are leaning into sobriety more, especially the younger generations. I started drinking pretty young. It was like 7th grade, I want to say, that I started dabbling in my parents' alcohol cabinet. I was drinking in high school, and I was definitely in the wrong crowd, and I partied a lot. Alcohol was fun, but alcohol also got me into a lot of trouble when I was younger. And it definitely was a little bit of a way of me being a rebellious teenager. And I was going through a lot of stuff when I was younger, like my parents' divorce. And I wanted to party, I wanted to drink, I wanted to do all these things to fit in and be cool. I didn't have to do all that. I would love to be a role model for younger kids. And you don't have to drink to be cool. You don't have to drink to fit in. And there are other options. And just because other people are doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. And I think that's one of the questions where somebody said, do you ever feel like you're missing out on fun by being sober? And no, I've actually have more fun now that I am sober, because again, I'm only in places or with people that I really want to be around and I can really have fun with. And I don't have friends who I could only have fun with when I was drinking. And I think people definitely have those friends who they're like, oh, well, I can enjoy this person more when I'm drinking, or I can enjoy this situation as long as I have a cocktail, or whatever it is. Like, you get to a place that's kind of lame. You're like, oh, I need a drink. And it's just like, but actually maybe this place is just lame, or maybe this place is just not somewhere that you want to be. And you can then leave. You don't have to try to make it fun by having a cocktail and then regret, your night, or be like, why did I even go to that? It wasn't worth it. There's been so many times where I woken up and I'm like, well, that wasn't worth it. I should have just left when I didn't want to be there in the first place. So, no. And I feel like because I've gained so much more confidence since being sober, I just have so much fun wherever I go. Like, I have confidence in the things that I'm saying and the things that I'm doing. I'm not worried about how people are perceiving me or what I look like, or if I'm going to say something stupid, or if I look stupid, or this or that. Like, I go out and I'm just in my own body, and I'm having a great time, and I'm having fun, and I'm with the people that I love. Like, if somebody's needs alcohol to have fun or to feel like they're having fun, then are they really having fun? Like, you really don't know what's going on. Like, there's been so many times where too, when I would go out and it would look like from the outside and from the photos and the videos that I was having a great time, but I would get home and I'd be like, that wasn't that fun, or yeah, it was whatever, or I made my own fun, or the pictures looked fun, but it wasn't actually fun. So don't base having fun or not on seeing people's photos or videos of going out and you not going out and being like, oh my God, I missed out on so much fun, when maybe the reality is it wasn't that fun, or they didn't have that good of a time and they just made it look like that. My version of fun too is my version of fun. What I believe is fun, what I enjoy, the things that I laugh at, the things that I love, the things that make me feel good, is going to be different than the things that somebody else might describe as fun for them. So I'm not going to say, there's no way of saying that's fun, that's not fun, because something that's fun for me might not be fun for somebody else, and vice versa. So as long as I'm having fun, as long as I'm having a good time, I don't care what anybody else is doing. Like, I might be having the best time ever sitting in my bed reading a book. That might be what I think as fun. And that is what I think as fun. And if somebody else would rather be dancing on a table and that's fun for them, that's not fun for me. I don't want to do that. I want to be in bed reading my book. And that person might look at me and be like, well, that's not fun. So I'm not basing my idea of fun on somebody else's idea of fun, right? So I think if you're worried about, oh, am I missing out on fun? It's like, well, first let's think about what fun means to you and what that looks like for you. What does a good night out look like for you? And then create that. And it's okay if it maybe from somebody else's perspective is boring or not fun, because this is your life and it's your night and it's all about you. Yeah, no, I don't ever feel like I'm missing out on fun, because I can still go to the same places too and be dancing next to a girl on a table and be sober and having the same amount of fun as she is, and she could be drinking. If you're around the right group of people and you're in the right place, you don't need alcohol to have fun. And just because somebody has a couple shots in them doesn't mean that they're having a better time than me. They might be having a worse time than me. They will have a worse morning than me. How do you do it being here in Miami? I stopped drinking, but instead now I just smoke. I don't like Miami. Any city is what you make of it. Yes, it's maybe more prominent here because people are like, oh, Miami is where you party, but Miami also has a really big health and wellness community. So I've just found my people. And I think what's important too is if you're going through this journey, or if you think it's going to be hard, don't make it so hard on yourself. Try to make it easier on yourself by putting yourself in places and spaces that you don't feel a lot of pressure. It's not like I am putting myself in a club every single night or putting myself at happy hour every single night in a position where I have to continue to say no and continue to be around it. I put myself in places and around people who are like-minded, and it's not so much of a pressure, and it's not so much, right in front of me where I constantly have to say no. Yeah, like I might not be the first person to jump on going to happy hour or the club, but I'm the first person if you want to go to the farmer's market or go to beach yoga. How do you handle plans or holidays with family or friends that you always did drink with? I'm like, I think I've touched on this, but pretty much everybody in my life is happy for me and they support me and they know that this is my new normal now. So nobody asks questions. Nobody has a problem with it. And my family aren't big drinkers at all. I didn't grow up really around alcohol. I didn't grow up around parents who had a glass of wine. My mom barely drinks. I think she's had like 10 cocktails her whole life. My sister definitely likes to indulge with her husband, but they don't force it on me. Like if they're like, oh, you want a glass of wine? I'll be like, no. It's like more for them. They don't care. Bachelorettes, like that's been fine. My friends know, like if I'm going to a bachelorette party, they're my close friends. They know that I'm not drinking. Nobody asks, nobody cares, as long as I'm having a good time, as long as I'm not like bringing down the vibe or making anybody feel bad. And I think that's a big thing, is like, I don't think that I'm better than anybody. I don't make anybody feel bad for drinking. I don't try to push it on anybody or anything like that. Everybody does their own thing. Everybody minds their own business. We just are here for the vibes and to have a good time. That's it. And again, holidays, it's like, I'll have sober options. I'll have a mocktail. Holidays aren't just about alcohol. It's more about food for me. I'm a foodie, so I don't really give a frick about alcohol. If somebody was like, you can never drink again or never have dessert again, I would have, like, if somebody asked me that 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh, I'll never drink again. Like, I'm having the desserts. That's what holidays are about for me. It's about being around friends and family and people who make you happy and eating good food. It was never about the drinking for me anyways. Your friends and family should be the least amount of pressure on you on this journey. They should make your journey easier. Do you feel like your ability to go out on nights and enjoy them has been affected? No. If anything, I enjoy my nights so much more now because I go and I really am present for like the 3 hours that I'm there, 3-4 hours, whatever it is. And then I leave, and I leave happily. I don't leave being like, oh, I'm so mad like Susan dragged me out, or I'm mad that like Susan kept me there longer. I don't have a friend Susan, by the way. But you know what I mean? Like, I truly go and I talk to people who I really enjoy spending time with. And then I leave when I want to leave, and I'm not being guilted into staying, whatever it is. Like, I get to go, I get to be present for the hours that I want to be there and really enjoy my full 3-4 hours that I'm out. and then go home and feel good about it and be like, wow, that was a really great night. Sometimes we like drag the nights out and we should have left sooner. And then we're annoyed that we didn't leave when we should have. And a night that could have been really great, now we just have this sour, bitter memory of it, or wish that we had gone home sooner. So I fully enjoy my nights out now. If anything, I enjoy them more because I have more energy and I just feel really good the whole time I'm there. And then I go home and I feel good. And then I wake up and I feel great. And then I have more time to do things in the morning, see friends in the morning who maybe I didn't see the night before, who are waking up and they're also not hungover. And I like have more time for more things now and more people now. I have full weekends, full days always. So I have a lot more time for people now as well, which has been nice, and a lot more time for things that I enjoy and more activities. Balancing balance and not demonizing alcohol versus not consuming it at all. Before I decided to go fully sober, I think I had a pretty good balance with alcohol. And I don't want this episode to be me talking like demonizing it or making you feel like you have to go sober. I'm just telling you that if you want to, you can absolutely do it, and you should explore it if you want to explore it. Like I said, I'm not better than anybody because I don't drink or whatever it is, and this is very much a new journey for me. If you are somebody who likes to have a drink or two, that's fine. Like, enjoy that. Allow yourself that. There's no reason to demonize it or feel bad for it. If you go out and you don't want to have a lot of drinks, I would say still do like that half-hour test where you maybe go out and you say, okay, for the first half hour, I'm not going to have a drink. And then gauge it from there and see how you feel. And then if you feel like I actually do want to have a cocktail, have one. And then at least you're later in the night too, and you've had like a clear decision of whether or not you have one, instead of going to the bar straight away when you get there and having one or two, and then it's still early in the night and then you're 3 or 4 deep. And then we all know what happens when you're like 3 or 4 deep. It's just like 5, 6, 7, and then you're out really late for the most part. Like for me, I know like once I start to get like a little tipsy, I'd be like, oh, I want another one because I feel really good. So I think just like prolonging the amount of time before you have your first drink is always good. But yeah, I think just allowing yourself to indulge in a drink or two if that's what you want. I think that's the biggest thing for me that kept this going, was not putting a certain time limit or a strict thing where I can't have this and I can't have this. Like balance is all about just having things in healthy doses and incorporating it in your life, and it shouldn't be an extreme on either end. You go to dinner if you want to, you have your drink, and then that's it. You don't put pressure on the drink. It's not like, oh, this is my one night out where I get to drink, so I'm gonna have a lot of drinks. It's like, well, if you want to have one tomorrow, you can have one tomorrow, you know? Like I think just going in with that mindset, it's like putting yourself on a diet. As soon as you do want that, you want the thing more. Or as soon as you say, well, I'm going to do a sober month, you like instantly kind of want a drink more. And as long as you don't have a problem with alcohol, that's fine. I think if you have a problem with alcohol, obviously you have to be more strict with yourself. But if you don't, then it's like, okay, then, you know, I can have one if I want one. And I think just removing the pressure off of the situation is going to be the best thing for you and help you not demonize it either, because I don't want you guys to like have a drink and then feel guilty that you had one cocktail. That's fine. Like if you really enjoyed that cocktail, then enjoy it. I think be really present with your drinks, and just like with your food too, it's all the same thing. Like savor every sip, savor the taste of it, savor, you know, what you enjoy about that drink, and actually enjoy it. Don't have the drink because you feel like the pressure to have one or because somebody else is having one. Like you should be having that cocktail for yourself and enjoy that cocktail. And that's how you don't demonize it. And that's how you just have one and enjoy it. And that's it. Or two, whatever it is that you want. Somebody said, am I still interested in going out and clubbing after this decision? I never really enjoyed clubbing that much anyways. I've been to a strip club sober. That was eye-opening. Probably won't do that again. Clubbing in general was never that appealing to me, and I guess it wouldn't be appealing to me now, but I wouldn't say no. I would go if I really wanted to go. But my priorities are definitely different now. Like my idea of a successful weekend is probably just like going to a nice dinner, hanging out with my friends, maybe hosting them, or they have some of us over, or maybe doing an activity, going bowling, getting some workouts in the morning, going on some walks. Like That's my idea of a successful weekend now, and a weekend filled with fun, instead of just like going to the club one night and then hating my life for 2 straight days afterwards. Has anybody responded poorly when you tell them you aren't drinking anymore? No. No one has. And if they did, that would be weird, but no one's responded poorly. Do I think that I will do this for forever? Honestly, now that I've made it this far and how good I feel, I don't see a world in which I go back. I really don't. But I'm just taking it day by day. I'm not being like I have to be sober forever. I'm just really enjoying where I'm at now, and I know how good I feel, and I've seen the positive effects and the positive things that it's brought into my life, that I just don't see me going back. I don't see like a cocktail bringing me happiness, or a night out of drinking bringing me happiness or bringing joy or positivity into my life. So yeah, like, I don't know. I really love being sober, and I'm just super happy. Again, like, I don't want to put the timestamp on forever on it, because that's kind of scary to say. Like, I'll never have a glass of wine again. Like, oh my God. We're just going to keep rolling with it and see where I go with it. But I do see this being a forever decision for me. Kind of crazy if you think about where I started and where I'm at now with everything. I feel like I'm one of the most unlikely candidates to like have stopped drinking. And not that I was that crazy, but like, people would just know that I would go out and like have a drink or 2 or 3, and you know, I'm a good time. So yeah, some people have been shocked by it, but they've been like, wow, that's really amazing, good for you. I had one person who was like, wow, like, I did not see that one coming. But they've been really supportive and happy for me. So yeah. But those were pretty much all of your questions. I hope I answered them. And I hope that if you are sober curious, you just give it a try and see if you like it, dabble with it, and see what happens. No pressure. Nobody should feel guilty if you enjoy having a drink or whatever it is, going out and partying. Like, I partied in high school and college, and I don't regret those things. I think if you're going to do it when you're young. I'd rather have gone through that stuff when I was younger than doing it now in my 30s, you know? Like, I lived that half of my life, and now I get to live the next half of my life remembering everything, creating memories that I'll remember and be present for and be proud of. And I think that's the biggest thing, is I'm just really want to be proud of all my actions and be more intentional, be more thoughtful, be more present, be more in tune with myself, be more consistent. That's another thing that's definitely been a great benefit of this, is being more consistent with showing up for myself and other people. Every single day, I don't have an excuse. There's no hangovers, there's no this or that. I'm more consistent with everything in my routine, and more consistent with who I show up as a person too, every single day, and for my friends. And they can rely on me to be, you know, consistent for them too. I've had a few friends rely on me for nights out where they don't want to drink and they need me there, or they need my support there. And that's been nice too, where I can help people in that sense, because they know that I'm strong and they know that I'm just not somebody who gets tempted. Really, I've never been one to follow the pack. I can't be convinced to do anything that I don't want to do. And once I like make up my mind about something, I've made up my mind. So it's been nice to be that person for some people too. That's been a great way for me to show up for my friends too. And yeah, just spread more positivity and just be more consistent as a person. That's pretty much it. I hope this episode was helpful. You guys asked really great, insightful questions. So now I'm just going to end this episode because I am dragging it out, but thank you guys for coming back another week. I love you so much. If you don't follow me on Instagram already, make sure you're following me at Nicole Doyon, TikTok, Nicole_Doyon, Snapchat, Nicole Doyon. And if you see me in person, say hi. If you listen to this episode and you loved it, please share it with your friends. Please share it on your story and make sure you tag me. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Love you.